Hey everyone, Matt Goldich here from the Sorry I've Been So Busy podcast. Another classic episode being reposted this week. Our talk with Pat Kiernan from New York One. He recently celebrated his 20-year anniversary on the air, mornings on New York One. We had a really, really fun time with Pat. I even didn't mind when Andrew brought up wrestling. Make sure to check out my album, please, the Matt Goldich Guarantee. Anywhere you can buy digital albums, Amazon, iTunes, and keep watching TRL, which is the show that Andrew's producing, the reboot for MTV. So we'll have some new episodes for you soon, and in the meantime, please once again enjoy our episode with Pat Kiernan. Stay busy, everybody.
Until I met my new best friend, all of my boys say I'm tripping. When they call, I'm not answering.
Hey, welcome. Alex, are we rolling? We are rolling. Welcome to another episode of Sorry I've Been So Busy, the podcast where we talk to busy people about what they have been busy with. Sometimes we do talk to not very busy people about what they pretend to be busy with, what they're claiming to be busy with when they're not actually. Today we do not have one of those people. Today we have a busy person, somebody whose day-to-day life we're really fascinated to hear about, a really interesting guest. First off, please go to showbrizstudios.com. I didn't introduce you?
I was going to say, you're going to introduce your co-host?
Oh, my God, I forgot.
It's okay.
Yeah. I didn't introduce myself, to be fair. My co-host is here. Please say your name.
Andrew Goldstein, at AngeGold on Twitter, ANGEGOLD.
It's not like
the busybodies wait for my Twitter handle.
I know, right? It's not like I introduced myself and then skipped right on.
And Matt Goldich is our
Thank you for introducing me. At Matt Goldich on Twitter, GOLDICH.
And follow at Showbriz Studios on Twitter. Mm-hmm. They are our home.
ShowbrizStudios.com, all the other great podcasts they have.
Such a warm, welcoming family of podcasts.
The Carson podcast with Mark Malkoff. They had Fred Willard on recently. That was great. And
David Feldman.
Lots of great shows over here. And
Kevin Bartini, Leah McEnany.
I say this all the time, and I hope people aren't sick of it, but please rate and review us on iTunes. That really, really helps us get the word out, bumps up our iTunes ranking, and that is a big thing.
Yeah.
So let's welcome our guest. Let's bring in our guest because we have a very exciting guest. We're lucky to have him here. You know him from, if you live in the city, you know him from New York One every morning, seeing him on the news. If you do not live in New York, you may have seen him host numerous game shows. That's sort of how we met. Also on the radio, online. Pat Kiernan is here, everybody.
You made me sound really busy right off the top.
Yeah, well, that's
you
what
set
we
up
like
every
to do.
guest like that?
Yeah. Well, you know, some people we have to sort of fake it and make them sound busier than they are. I feel like we do not have to do that. We do have sometimes comedians as guests where they spend a lot of their day just sort of aimlessly wandering around the city
looking for inspiration.
And I don't get the sense that that's your day-to-day life. But
so it's not very easily that I hit my threshold as to I was too busy this week. Mm-hmm. But sometime last night I hit it for the week. I was so cranky at New York One this morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, do you think the viewers can tell?
I love cranky Pat Kiernan.
You managed to hide that.
I think I hide most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty good at just pushing through it, and the staff knows when I'm cranky.
There are sometimes maybe where it might help, like where the news would make you cranky, I guess, or you would be upset at the news.
Oh no, then there are stories when I am the cranky skeptic on them. I don't mind playing that role where necessary.
A really fun Twitter parody account would be Cranky Pat Kiernan.
Cranky Pat Kiernan, yeah.
Somebody should start that.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Can we just say what time the confirmation email came in for this podcast?
I emailed Pat yesterday just to confirm that he was able to make it, and then woke up this morning. There was an email from you at 3:30 a.m. confirming that you were available.
So if anybody doubts that you are extremely busy, the email came in at 3:40 a.m.
I'm going to guess. We've probably had past guests who are still awake at 3:30 a.m.
That was morning.
Not you.
Yeah. There's really probably only about a 4-hour stretch at any time of the day when I'm off email.
Oh, really? That's when you're...
because I sleep a couple hours in the afternoon, and then I usually sleep 4 hours at night. So there's no extended period. You caught me at the end of my longest email absence period of the 24-hour day.
When you're on air, you're off email, or are you on...
I'm pretty much on.
Oh, yeah?
I feel like it's pretty acceptable now for on-air news anchors to have their phone on the news desk.
Yeah, even if you're following tweets or whatever, you're kind of
Right.
staying on top of things.
Sure, that makes sense.
Because you watch like Morning Joe, they go to commercial and they immediately pick up their phones like on camera.
Well, and that
And
is
that's
actually
not even
part
like
of,
a faux pas anymore.
No, that's how you're getting information about
Exactly.
stories that may be coming to you. It's not all funneling through the producers. I mean, there may be reactions and new information that somebody's sending directly to you. You want to be on top of it.
Especially in sports. I mean, you watch any draft show, those guys are on their phones right up until their soundbite.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's the easiest way to. Do you keep the phone? Now you have it under. You have the computer on the desk, right?
I have a computer on the
Yeah.
desk. The phone's kind of on a table at the side. It's at the ready. It's available to me at any moment.
Yeah.
I try to remember to put it on silent when I'm up there.
Has it ever rang in the middle of a...
Yeah, a couple of times.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, actually, Annika Pergamon, who's the New York One reporter at the Stock Exchange, has the old Ringer phone ringtone.
Oh, that's funny.
On her phone, and there was one morning where in the middle of her report, there's this ring sound, and I'm assuming it's one of the 100-year-old phones at the New York Stock Exchange, and I said to her at the end of the report, Annika, would you have somebody answer that phone? She said, actually, that's my iPhone.
That's so funny. Yeah. People like that window into their, I think people, like that window into the personalities on the news. I think people enjoy that, like, that her phone went off. Like, it's not,
Now there are so many ways to get information.
Right.
One of the reasons you still watch a conventional television newscast is because you find it entertaining.
Yeah.
So when moments like that happen with people it's fun to see that side of things.
I think so. Yeah. But what about so is there a difference between checking your phone for news? Like, do you have personal alerts turned off while you're on air, or I mean, do you have to avoid a certain type of?
No, it all clutters in.
Oh,
You're just hoping that it's not some crisis that your kids are having with the Uber didn't show up on time or something.
You're in the middle of a report and a text comes from your wife and you're like, I gotta look at this.
That is funny because back in the day you would have no idea. I mean, I guess they would have to call the newsroom and then let you know.
Right, and someone would pick an appropriate moment to get your attention in a commercial break.
Let's hold that news till Pat's done with the broadcast.
Yeah. Now I think we met I'm trying to think of a couple times we've met before. One was I did a stand-up show I feel like you were interviewed on maybe at the old Comics Comedy Club back in the day. But then the other one was you were the host of the World Series of Pop Culture on VH1.
I was.
Yes. Which was, there were a couple seasons of it, right?
We did 2 seasons of that for VH1. And there is a community of World Series of Pop Culture fans that would like it to continue or come back.
I'm one of them.
It was a very well-received show, but it landed on VH1 right about the time they were having so much success with the trashy reality
Celebrity,
TV.
yeah.
The Flavor of Love stuff, Rock of Love was all hitting at the time, and we didn't directly fit into that mold. They tried in the second season to have me do more categories where I read rap lyrics in a monotone.
Yeah, I remember that.
That didn't sufficiently meet the needs for whatever audience they were chasing at the time.
We've talked about that before, how, it's so much about timing, not just the quality
Content
of the show, but we had a guy on who was an executive at True TV, and he was talking about how one comedy show on True TV hit and became their most successful show, and now all of a sudden, we're a comedy network. That's what we do.
The entire focus of the network changed just because they had this one mega hit.
Yeah.
Which is a risky strategy.
Yeah.
It is, but I mean, but on the flip side, were you watching True TV before? Not necessarily. Were a lot of people into, whatever they had before, which was reruns of Cops.
Right, but did you expose in that an actual market demand for another comedy network, or did you just happen to have a hit that happened to be on your channel?
Yeah. I'm guessing what the marketing people would say is well, it's easier to have commercials and marketing for other comedy during a comedy show or something.
Oh, that was our issue with World Series of Pop Culture. They would be promoting the show afterwards that was of not particular interest to the loyal viewers of that show. And the lead in, the lead out, that program strategy didn't work.
Did you have a major pop culture knowledge going in?
I mean, above average.
Above average?
Could I have won the show? No, not at all. The people that had that level of knowledge to be truly competitive on the show.
But you feel like you had a base of knowledge that
I'm not a television news anchor who is too important to read People magazine.
Got it.
I mean, you literally have page 6 in front of you every morning on the table.
This is true.
Yeah.
No, I like to be familiar with the whole spectrum of news, and that includes pop culture. So I was never above that, and I think that was clear when you watch the show. My role was sort of the dispassionate, authoritative reader of the questions, and that was part of the contrast. It was a silly pop culture question, and me reading it as earnestly as I would any other question.
I miss it.
But you never got a sense that I was above the material, I don't think.
Yeah.
Little did you know that your familiarity with pop culture would actually come in handy during our current presidential election. That it's actually seeped into the. I feel like the lines are blurring a little bit with people like
the lines are blurring a little bit.
A little bit, just a tiny bit. Yeah, that was an understatement. Yeah,
a smidge.
Yeah. But I mean, among all of the other things, it's just that lines that have been crossed and things that it is just crazy.
Scott Baio spoke at the Republican National Convention.
That there's the two steps, one step really in between like the White House and like Gary Busey, which is like a crazy, confluence of things that are going on. So it's a good thing you have all that pop culture on. Now, I don't want to get you in trouble, by the way. You don't have to say an opinion about anything. But
I mean, we shouldn't dive too deep into the political discussion.
We've kept it pretty.
The question I think everybody wants us to ask you is what's the entomology of in the papers? How did that happen? How did that come about? Like, I feel like it's such a cool, simple idea that other people would have poo-pooed it. Like, how'd you get it through the filter, I guess?
And I didn't. They started it before me. I inherited it when I was named morning anchor. Just a week ago, for people who don't know, who aren't in New York City, the signature segment of the morning newscast is where literally I hold up the papers and read portions of them and tell you what the front page headlines are. None of it is something you couldn't do yourself.
Yeah.
But it is...
I will say it is something that I have DVR'd. Now we have a baby, so we don't really watch. We don't have the TV on too much in the morning. But in the past, I have DVR'd that so that because I didn't want to turn on New York One. I knew we woke up at say 8:11, and so we would DVR the previous half hour so that we could wake up and watch in the papers first.
Yeah,
that particular part of the
news. Curation of content before we even knew what that term meant. Yeah. Before we all got onto the idea of
you were liking and faving stories before that was even a thing.
That's funny. Yeah.
So it started long before me with this idea that we should tell people in a good newspaper town like this what's in the papers, and the television people in that equation when New York One launched thought it was a ridiculous idea. You're just going to what? You're just going to hold up the newspapers? And to this day, last week, there's somebody who tweets like it's his first day in New York City or something. I can't believe that there's this guy, Pat Kiernan, he's literally reading from the newspaper. And fortunately, I didn't even have to respond to it myself. So it was some other...
All your fans?
Some other fan responded.
Your hive?
So someone responds immediately and says... Welcome to 20 years ago.
Yeah. I think it's great. And if only now it's helpful because it lets people know that newspapers still exist.
Yeah.
For just that reason, I think it's a necessary segment.
But New York, of all cities, is still a print newspaper. You're never going to get rid of the print newspaper because it's the easiest thing. There's no cell service on a lot of the subways. Whatever. You just grab one on the way. You give a guy 50 cents, and it's just such an easy thing to just hold and read and then just throw out when you're done.
You can still take in more information in a short period of time with a print edition of a paper.
Yeah.
All of the web devices have gotten so much better. The websites for the newspapers have gotten so much better. But in the space of 5 minutes with a copy of the New York Post or the Daily News, you can take in a lot. And you can tell from the way a particular story plays. Is it 2 pages? Is it a big headline? Is it a tiny story in the corner? All of those are editorial cues to you about how much attention you should pay to this and how much attention you should not pay.
Do you get editors and stuff being like, hey, can you mention, like trying to get you to read their story or to shout out their headline?
In varying degrees, but yes, there's not intense lobby campaigns in the morning.
That's what I mean. Lobbying is the word I was looking for.
But there's definitely with some people a little bit of, follow-up email at noon that day saying, thanks, man.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I'm glad you picked that story.
Do you get walking down the street, people are like, hey, Pat Kiernan, in the papers?
I get some of that.
Yeah.
And then you get
It's me. It's just me.
Then you get the, hey, New York One guy.
Yeah, there you go.
They can't quite remember the name. And then there's the people who, they recognize you, but all they want to do is whisper to the person next to them. They don't want to actually call you out.
Mm-hmm.
Or, more so when I'm out of uniform and I'm wearing a tie like I am now, but they'll see you and they'll be pretty sure it's you, or they'll actually think that I recognize that guy from somewhere. Did I work with him at Deloitte? Or there's that vague thing too.
I wonder whether people feel more comfortable like coming up to you because you're someone they see every day and it feels like you're a friend in some.
I think that's true.
Yeah,
and I think I am probably more embracing of it than your Hollywood star might be, because I'm locked in my room all the time, and these are the people that I have this one-way relationship with, so it's interesting to have those conversations and hear what their impressions are and when they watch.
I can't tell you how comforting it was. I moved to Los Angeles for a few years, and it was just so nice to come back and turn on New York One and there's Pat. It's like a welcome home. There's Pat Kiernan doing in the papers, and it's just this is the morning routine.
It's New York. It's the soundtrack of.
And there is, as somebody who's lived in LA, there is nothing. There's no, correct me if I'm wrong, you would know better than me, but there's no 24-hour news channel in any other city.
I was going to ask, does any other city have a local 24-hour news channel?
The New England cable news out of Boston is more of a regional 24-hour news channel. And then Time Warner, now part of Charter, but Time Warner founded a whole bunch of baby New York ones. They wouldn't be happy that I just referred to it that way. But there's a very similar channel in Austin, Texas. There's a very similar channel in North Carolina. Albany has one. Rochester has one.
In LA, I felt very disconnected from the local news or from what was going on in LA, and I don't know whether that's because of the nature of the city. It's so spread out in so many different neighborhoods that really have no interaction with each other, or if that was because of the media and the way that they covered the city, and there just wasn't that much. There wasn't local coverage like there was.
What's a little bit of both, because the local news is very vibrant in LA. KTLA and Fox in LA both have relatively strong local morning shows, and the helicopters buzzing around for traffic, but it's not
high-speed car chases or low speed.
Yeah, or a long showbiz segment. And what fire was there last night? You can't cover politics in LA the same way you can cover it here. I mean, yes, you've got Los Angeles proper, but you have so many other jurisdictions that you can't cover. Local city hall in Pasadena and have the people in Hawthorne care about that.
Yeah. And in some ways it's similar maybe here, but in LA, anything that relates to traffic is the biggest story. When I lived there during Carmageddon, when they were closed down all the freeways.
Or the rain.
Well,
rain becomes a big story.
Then a subway story is gold for us here.
Yeah, that's true.
If we have 5 stories that are potential for where do we send the live truck in the morning, and one of them is a subway story, we're like,
and maybe
Subway Rat, Pizza Rat.
Oh my God.
Yeah, sure.
Or
Can you believe that they're talking about naming one of the 5 final names for the renaming of the Staten Island Yankees is that they would call him the Staten Island Pizza Rat?
Get out.
Yeah.
No, I didn't hear that.
No, and we did man on the street interviews, and this one woman, without being prompted, after we read the list of possible new names for the Staten Island Yankees, she said, "Is it an April Fool's thing? Is it
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so ridiculous.
I almost want to say, I don't remember the whole list. One of them was bridge trolls. I feel like there was one that was even more harder to believe than pizza rats, if that's even possible.
It's like that Bodie McBoatface contest, even gone more awry.
No, you don't. Yeah, people should know by now not to. Or maybe I think with that one they slipped one in that was like,
they had the Staten Island Heroes,
and they can just say, well, that won, no matter what actually.
Well, then they did reserve the right to not pick any of the above.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the problem was with the Staten Island Yankees.
Are they no longer part of the?
Maybe they want to break away from the Yankees.
Maybe they're no longer part of the Yankees.
I like Staten Island Heroes. It has a double meaning because obviously a lot of firefighters, etc., policemen, came from the Staten Island. But also the hero sandwich. Yeah. I bet if you go to Staten Island, you're going to find a pretty great hero sandwich.
Yeah. I didn't think of that. I was mainly thinking
double meaning. I'm always thinking food, Pat.
Yeah, he's very much
always thinking food.
Deep into that.
Let me ask you this: you're from Canada.
I am.
Correct.
Was just in Toronto on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Look, we're closer to all the same age, and we grew up sort of before the cable news revolution, so we had local. We had the, NBC, CBS, ABC. Mm-hmm. Obviously in Canada it's a little different. Were Tom Brokaw, Dan Rather, Peter Jennings were they part of your growing up, or you had the Canadian national news people?
We kind of had the Canadian people layered on with them.
But you did get those guys?
Yeah, because that was the only way to get the good American programs, was to have cable. So the weird thing in Canada is that every city in Canada has its counterpart American city where they would, by microwave, bring in the ABC, NBC, CBS signals. So in Calgary, where I grew up, there was this path through the mountains, 50 miles at a time. They would hop from one microwave tower to another and deliver the signals from Spokane, Washington. Got it. KXLY was our ABC, KREM 2 was our CBS, and KHQ was our NBC. And I also know the anchors there as though I grew up with them. Yeah.
Were you, I feel like every household had their news program, their guy. Mm-hmm. Like we were a NBC house. I was a Brokaw kid. I grew up hearing him tell me the news. Who was your guy?
Do you have to ask?
Were you a Brokaw guy?
No. You just said I was Canadian.
Peter Jennings.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, there you go.
That should be a
There's
given.
the pop culture knowledge.
We were a Peter Jennings house, I believe.
Really?
Growing up for many years, yeah. Yeah. But then there's also, you have to have your local news people. Like your...
True.
We were in Action News. It was Channel 7.
We were...
Action News. Was it Channel 6? Channel 6 Action
News.
Channel 6
Action News in Philadelphia.
We're both
was with Jim Gardner still?
Yeah. Still there. Just came back on the air.
Mark Howard.
Yeah, Gary Papa, the late great.
Malpass.
There were Vernon Odom.
I could still just name. Yeah. Wasn't that funny?
Move closer to the world, my friends,
it is
and you'll
crazy.
see.
Like,
they had a theme song.
Example of.
I got a better theme song story.
Oh, okay.
The Channel 7 in Calgary. Actually, they would call themselves Channels 2 and 7 because there was the cable channel and the other channel. But they bought a jingle from an American jingle producer, and they sold exactly the same song into 50 markets.
Oh my God.
But at that time you could get away with that, right? Because people didn't travel outside of their markets. They weren't watching YouTube. So this whole jingle, hello Calgary, channels 2 and 7 love you. And then somebody completely burst the bubble about 20 years later and said, do you know
hello,
that there's
Edmonton.
No, there was no hello Edmonton. There was a hello Milwaukee. There was a hello Nashville. There was a hello Texas.
Hello Saskatoon.
They had the Osmond family sing a hello Utah.
That's
it was
cool.
Crazy. It's great.
They do that now with some of the writing is exactly the same, right? Like that's
generally wire copy or the networks.
Yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel loves busting on that, where he'll go online and find local anchors reading exactly the same thing, and it's always something like, well, Mary, you'll never guess what happened in Omaha today. And then when
you 50 in a row of them, and you're like, what? You're like, what am I watching? It seems so crazy.
It's we're not as shallow as it looks. It's just you're trying to produce 3 hours of news, and if somebody writes something for you at the network, you put that into the teleprompter and run with it.
Well,
Anchorman style.
The good thing about New York, as opposed to some of these other cities, is you will never run out of news.
There are never going to be things that you're never going to run out of things to cover. Whereas, like, you know, in some other cities, they might be stretching to fill even a half hour. I feel like for you, 24 hours is maybe not even enough.
I feel like making up news in Edmonton, where I first reported, has served me very well.
Oh, really?
Because when you're covering the city council meetings in the city of Leduc, which was 11,000 people at the time, half an hour south of Edmonton. Mm-hmm. They send you as a radio news reporter to Leduc, and at the end of the city council meeting, no matter how boring it was, you have to file a story for the next morning. You have to think of how could I make one of these things interesting enough that it'll fill 45 seconds in the news in the morning.
Wow.
And if you can do that and actually deliver a compelling story, you can make anything into a story.
Yeah.
That's good training. That's like...
It is.
That's phenomenal.
Let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll talk
get into
about
your day.
Pat Kiernan's day.
Hey, for you, the listeners of the Sorry I've Been So Busy podcast, Warby Parker is offering a free 5-day home try-on to give you the opportunity to check out their glasses. I was in L.A., I would say 2 years ago, and I was walking on Abbott Kinney, and I popped in the Warby Parker store, and I found a fantastic pair of sunglasses I still use today. Sunglasses rarely ever fit me well. I have a very small head. They fit them to perfection on my face. And the thing I love about Warby Parker, you can walk into any of their stores at any time, and they'll readjust your glasses for no cost. And you kind of always can tell when somebody's wearing Warby Parkers. They're very stylish. To get your home try-on today, go to warbyparkertrial.com/SIBSB. Again, that's warbyparkertrial.com/SIBSB for your free 5-day home try-on.
All right, welcome back. We're here with Pat Kiernan from New York One. We see him every morning here in New York City. And you were the first, I told you this earlier, you were the first person I thought of when we came up with the conceit for this podcast, which is talking to people about what they actually do all day.
I discuss my schedule a lot with people that I meet for the first time.
I know, right? People are fascinated. We had, what's funny, we had Michelle Collins on, who was on The View, and, someone who has a morning routine. I mean, you're up, The View is what, 9, 10?
Yeah.
So she's up pretty early, but you're up even earlier than her. And so, hearing, everything from the important things to the real minutia of it, I think is real fascinating for people out there, because partially because you wake up so early, but also partially, because of what your job is. But
okay. So,
Pat's looking at his phone.
It was 3:17 was my number for a while, and I've been at 3:12 lately. I was just double checking what time,
He's looking at his alarms.
I can be truthful with you. See, I have the 3:12 and the 3:37. The 3:37 is, I don't know what happened with you in the 3:12, but you really need to be up now.
Do you ever sleep through the 3:12?
No, knock on wood, it's very rare.
Okay.
And our producers know that if I haven't replied to them on email,
you have some landline or something that you can be reached on.
Yeah, I mean they
some
know.
PA is in a cab to your place.
Well, they know that I better be affirmatively communicating with them by about 4 o'clock, or there's going to be.
So your alarm is set for 3:12. That's I worked on a morning show for VH1, and that's hours before I had to get up.
Yeah,
I can't even.
Amateurs over there.
Yeah, tell me about it. No, so let's back time that. So 3:12, you're getting up. So you get up at 3:12. What's your?
Immediately, I go to the kitchen and pour my bowl of cereal.
What's your cereal?
My cereal is a Canadian cereal known as Shreddies.
Get out of here!
I've been eating Shreddies since I was about 5 years old, and I now import them because they're not available here.
You online order cases of Shreddies.
I do.
Is this like shredded wheat?
There's a place called CanadianFavorites.com. That's favorite with the Canadian and British spelling, which is FAVOURITES.
Favorites.
And I go to CanadianFavorites.com. And
is it a shredded wheat type cereal?
It's similar to that, but don't. There's always somebody to go saying that isn't that kind of like Life, or isn't that kind of like Chex?
Right,
I mean, no, it's not the same.
No.
You think I'd bring it in front of the country if it was the same?
I love this. Okay, so you eat your bowl of Shreddies.
Okay, but here's the thing. Here's the thing with the Shreddies habit. I don't like them crispy.
Soggy.
They have to be soggy, so I have to by 3:13. I'm getting the milk on the Shreddies, so that 15 minutes later they can be ready for consumption.
That's, I mean, stuff like that is, because I like to have a cup of coffee before my breakfast, so the coffee has to be the first thing getting ready, because if the coffee is ready, if breakfast is ready and coffee is not ready, then I'm thrown all out of whack, and then it's like, what am I going to do, eat cold eggs or, burn my, so the routine is
You don't want a bottleneck. There should be no bottleneck in the morning routine.
The order has to be the same, So you like soggy Shreddies.
The Shreddies are sogging. Then I check the overnight email, a little bit of news about what's going on. Then I will bring the Shreddies upstairs, and fortunately our house is built in a way that the dressing area and bathroom are kind of one area that has a door that separates my wife from whatever noise I'm making.
So you don't
at
have
that hour.
to. I know what that's like.
Yeah, so I can turn on the lights. I can turn on my all news radio on 1010 Winds. I can put New York One on a screen on the iPad if I want to. I can
It's a rerun of me.
I can have my world there, and by a few minutes before 4:00, I'm out the door on my way into Manhattan.
Dark.
So to your question about sleeping in, they didn't have to call me, but I somehow got to about 4:00 one day about a month ago, and now I got to be on the air at 5, so that's a highly compressed schedule for me. But I was in a taxi that morning at about 4:33 or something like that, and it must have been July, because the only time ever there was a glimmer of daylight.
Wow!
As I was heading.
That's when you know you're late.
It was a combination of the longest days of the year and me being late.
Do you on a day when you're not running late, are you subway or are you cab it in?
No, 4 a.m. you can't get on the subway. That's too well, it's also
So
taking too long.
No, you never know. It's a pretty easy subway commute for me, but 4 a.m, you being the only guy in a business suit on your way to work while everybody else is on their way home.
Target.
Do you get dressed in the business suit at home?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
What, do you think I have wardrobe people waiting for me on my arrival? I don't even makeup people.
No, I would think maybe like you would have a room at work where you would change right before you go on air.
I just put on my suit at home.
Interesting. I see. There you go. That's something. Would you have?
No, I would have thought you go in a hoodie and jeans.
But then wouldn't I be in a hoodie and jeans right now?
Well, you are our first guest in a tie.
That's true.
So we thank you.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, we're interviewing nebbishy comedians.
Yeah, there you go. So you get changed at home.
Wake up at noon.
You wear a suit in the car.
I don't tighten the tie until I get to work.
So you arrive at work at what time?
4:15.
Wow. And you're not? Are you not a coffee person? Or?
I'm not a coffee person, and I had a terrible. Generally, about halfway through the morning, would go have a Coca-Cola habit. Yeah. And I've been reasonably successful at breaking that.
Wow. So now no caffeine or?
No caffeine. But the producers will know that I'm having a particularly stressful morning if I break down and walk over to the Coke machine, and
that's funny.
Pat's getting a Coke.
Yeah. It's not
Watch out.
Not good.
Well, wait. If you're in at 4:15, what time are your producers in? Are they just finishing up? Is that just part of their long night shift, overnight shift?
No, the staff that works with me is in
right when
1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m.
Got it. So they lead a crazy life.
They're even
topsy-turvy
than you. Yeah. So, and you're on the air at what time? You go
5 a.m.
Yeah, 5 a.m. You see me on TV.
So you have there's a window in there where you're just sort of catching up, writing the new copy or going over the copy.
Yeah, we pre-record a few segments, so there's a little transitional window there.
Right. So from 5 to 10, you're on air, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because New York One is a 24-hour news channel that is one half-hour newscast after another.
Right.
We are able to pre-record some segments that will then be repeated in another half hour. So when you see over the course of the morning that I've done the weather 57 times,
right.
Some of those times may have been a replay on the tape, which allows me to do things like read the papers so that when 7:40 comes around, I actually can tell you with authority what I like.
Are you picking the stories, or is a producer picking the stories?
That's me.
In the newspapers.
Yeah. I am the
I love it. You're the curator.
And curator.
But you're there from 5 to 10.
Oh, I'm on the set.
Because I think, like, for instance, like, I was shocked to learn that, like, for instance, like, satellite radio, they, like, will just come in, record all of the DJs will come in, record all their things, and then leave, and it's, like, half an hour or something.
Somebody else.
You obviously have to be there because it's different. It's news. Your things break and things change all the time, so.
Yeah, I have to be in there, even if we had a segment that was rerunning from the previous hour. A portion of the half hour, if there's a live story at the top of the half hour breaking news.
If a crane, falls into a building, God forbid it, 10:45 or
not to, but I mean,
get back in the chair.
Do you eat again during that time, or is the Shreddies all you have in the stomach?
I eat sometimes all 3 of my meals at home.
Oh, really?
Well, you're in Chelsea Market, right?
Everybody always asks about this. So when I get to Chelsea Market, there are often food service workers there. They're behind locked doors preparing food for the people who get there later. Well, so you can smell the bread baking.
Yeah.
Try to purchase the bread.
Yeah,
Another
maybe
whole story.
On the way out. Yeah.
Chelsea Market has gone through a complete change and renaissance. I mean, now it's like a burgeoning food hall.
This morning, the number of aimless tourists are walking around there this morning. Like they deliver them by the busload, and they walk with no purpose.
Yeah. Can I tell you my first job out of the NBC Page program was I was a PA on the Isaac Mizrahi show on the Oxygen channel, which shot.
Where did they shoot that?
We shot it in the back end of the back end studios. I believe it was the back.
Yeah.
And they had the big studio there, and that was my first job. Was in Chelsea Market, New York One, obviously MLB and Oxygen, and I used to go to the produce store. I don't know if it's still there. And
the Manhattan Fruit Exchange.
Yeah.
The whole complicated thing.
And I had to buy the morning fruit plate and put it together for the crew and everything. Like that was a big.
Like you were slicing the mangoes.
But I put running back and forth, and it's a whole city. It's a long city avenue. I used to have to run back and forth a million times from the front to the back at Chelsea Market.
The original Oreo cookie factory.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
And have you ever noticed that when you walk into Chelsea Market, there's all these signs above the doors that say NBC?
Yeah.
And everybody thinks that that's the National Broadcasting Company.
But it was National Baking?
Nabisco Biscuit.
National Biscuit Company.
Biscuit.
Nabisco.
Yeah,
yes.
wow.
That's what it really means.
So you don't get to reap any of the benefits of working in Chelsea Market?
When 10 o'clock rolls around,
you're out.
I'm done.
Yeah, you're out.
You're
like, what podcast can I go do?
Especially a day like this. It's like it's Friday. It's been a busy week.
Yeah.
I don't want to be going around lining up for the Vietnamese sandwich or a super fresh baguette or whatever it is.
So 10. Well, my question is, wait, when do you actually pick the stories for in the papers? Do you do that before you go on air, or do you do that while you're on?
I generally get the late editions of the papers at 6 o'clock, and in the breaks that I have available to me between commercials and pre-recorded segments, I will pound through the papers between 6 and 7:40, and then at 7:40 I have my moment where I get to tell everybody what my likes and dislikes are.
Yeah. What happens if there's major breaking news? Do you skip in the papers?
Is it undroppable?
It's a high priority. In theory, you could skip it.
Right.
I can't remember many times that we have.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But, I mean, I'm just imagining, like, this stampede at Macy's, and then you're like, I gotta pick my stories. I can't.
That's a tug of war every morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I'll be
like hell we are. Pat, we got to drop in the papers over my dead body.
So you're even while you're on air, you're multitasking is the point.
Don't we all?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you get out at 10, you go straight home?
I go home, conduct some personal affairs for an hour or two. That's when you catch up on your errands. I nap for a couple of hours.
You don't eat lunch? Or you eat lunch? I'd be so hungry at that point after 5 hours.
Yeah. No,
second bowl of Shreddies.
I'll try to grab lunch when I get home. Or When I did a job when CNN sold a Business News Network, CNN-FN, I did a show that was on from 12:30 to 3 o'clock there for a few years.
Yeah.
And so I would leave New York 1 at 10, and I would try to get there by 11 to meet with the producers and get that show going. And I really got to know what places on the walk between New York 1 and CNN had lunch available at 10:15.
Yeah.
Because most lunchy places are not
Yeah, you're
prepared
still getting
to,
breakfast sandwiches.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't want a breakfast sandwich.
Yeah.
I want a slice of pizza. I want a proper sandwich. I want a bowl of soup.
Yeah. That's interesting. If I had eaten Shreddies for breakfast, I could eat eggs for lunch. But you're not an eggs. You're not.
But not every day.
No, not every day.
At some point, you need a lunch.
Yeah.
But we're very arbitrary with what we decide are breakfast and lunch foods.
Yeah.
Like
Who
a
made these
bacon, egg, and
decisions?
cheese is no different than a bacon cheeseburger. It's just
the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And why is it that sweet pastries are somehow something that qualifies as breakfast, but you wouldn't say for lunch, bring some pancakes for lunch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Who made these decisions? It's a great
Yeah,
point.
It's
a great point.
Yeah. So, but you're going home. You're having lunch.
What's your nap window?
I like to get 2 hours in the noon to 3 window.
Do you set an alarm?
I do set an alarm.
I found that was a big learning experience for me. Again, not that it's nearly your experience, but working on the morning show on VH1, if I came home, because then I'd work a full day after and then come home if I had something to do that night, I had to take like a half-hour nap and set the alarm, because if I let myself sleep, ruined.
And not only ruined, sometimes you wake up and you truly don't know which way is up.
Yeah. Completely
You don't know, especially if it's the shorter days of the year and it's dark when you wake up from the nap. You really don't know whether it's 6:30 p.m. or maybe 4:30 a.m.
I have no idea. So you had 2-hour nap.
Do you have trouble getting to sleep at that time, or it's just like boom, clockwork?
Usually it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Once in a while it's hard, and if I have a week like that where I just can't get the nap right, it's a slippery slope.
Shades
to Friday.
drawn, like sort of darkness, or you can nap under any circumstances?
Oh, no, full on. I mean, put on my pajamas, climb into bed.
Wow.
Oh, you're changing out of your clothes.
Oh, this is no amateur nap on the sofa.
It's a professional.
I'm a big napper, so this is.
I'm a professional napper too.
I'm really good. I can sleep anywhere.
Yeah.
And I've long gotten over any shame about the nap. I don't know why there's shame on the nap to begin with.
Well, there shouldn't be, but for you particularly, you wake up.
You
at 3
deserve it.
a.m., Yeah.
No, I'll tell. I do a once a week show for Bloomberg's Canadian channel, and that's Thursday nights at 6, and so I'll be particularly on Wednesday and Thursdays back and forth with them on email, and our producer there knows that when I vanish for about 2 hours on Thursday afternoon, she understands what's happening.
Right. Have you? Now, I'm curious. Have you talked to other morning people who have the similar hours to you that don't nap and they just plow through the day, and then it's like 7 p.m. they go to sleep?
Some of them do.
Yeah.
There was a really interesting article. It was online. I can't remember where it was, but they interviewed probably half a dozen notable morning people.
Yeah.
And all of us had very weird alarm times.
Oh, really?
That nobody was like 3 o'clock straight up or 3:15. It was all 3:12 like me or 4:37. No, I think it's that you're so protective of every minute of sleep you can get.
Yeah, and you know exactly what you need.
Right. You know what the routine is. There's not the one blessing when you go in at that hour is that I can pretty much tell you what my commute will be. It's going to be 17 minutes. I'm going to stop at this light at the end of the Williamsburg Bridge. We're going to turn right. I'm going to stop at this light on First Avenue.
You can do that when you know there's going to be zero traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing.
And then I did jury duty for 2 weeks in November and had to, for the first time in years, ride the subway at peak hours with everybody else. And I was like, how do people do this?
Yeah.
You're so used to like the straight shot.
No, I ride the subway home after New York 1, but it's at 10 a.m. and it's the wrong direction and it's
going
thinned
the other
out.
way.
Yeah. That's rough to get.
I'm sorry, by the way, I should apologize to all of Brooklyn for saying it's the wrong direction. I meant against the
sure, we all know what you mean. Yeah.
Okay.
So you wake up from your nap around 2-3 o'clock, and then what happens?
There's a little bit of dad time there where there's some kid logistics and sorting out who had to be at sports practice and who had to be home for this or that. And then there's often stuff in the evening, whether it's appearance I've agreed to make somewhere or whether there's friends that we're meeting. It sort of stacks up
right
after that. That's where that's where the seemingly flexible time gets busy.
Yeah.
Well, what the inevitable question, what's your bedtime?
11.
So 11 and you're waking up at 3, but you have sleep space throughout the day, so it's okay.
Yeah, in theory, if that all works as planned, there's about 6 hours spread out over the 24-hour period.
That's where the nap comes in handy because you don't want to miss on, like, having a life. Like, you know, if you miss evenings,
100%.
you miss having a life. You know, I actually had a job where I worked 5 nights a week from 5, p.m. to, like, 10 p.m., and it really cuts into your social life. I mean, it's just, like, impossible to do anything. And so, like, it's nice that the nap is crucial for that because you don't want to be. I mean, like I said, if there are some people that go to bed at 7 p.m., they miss a lot.
I tried when I first started on the morning shift to do that, to do the
just party all night.
No, well, no, I actually tried that too.
Oh wow, okay.
When they come to you and say to someone who's not really a morning person naturally, do you want to do the morning shift? I'm not sure. It sounds like a great opportunity to morning show in New York. And so then you try to really get into the rhythm of it, knowing it's going to be your 5-day-a-week routine forever. Mm-hmm. So I tried the go to bed at 7, sleep straight through, get up at 3. Hated it for exactly the reason you say. You feel disconnected from the entire world. You don't know what happened on primetime TV. You didn't see any of your friends. And then somebody else, a guy that I worked with in Edmonton 25 years ago, said the best thing that works for me is the opposite, which is you get home at 11 o'clock in the morning, you go straight to bed, you sleep through till 6, and then you have the evening with everybody.
Yes.
But where that breaks down is at about midnight or 1 a.m., now you're by yourself.
Yeah.
Now you still got 3 hours.
Yeah.
There's nothing open.
No,
His solution was to go to one of those 24-hour gyms. That would be his workout time.
That's why
I know people that do that.
Yeah.
There's a comedian, Derek Gaines, works out after his last set.
Yeah, I had another job briefly for like a few weeks where I worked the 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. shift. This was many, many years ago. I would work, come home, go to sleep, wake up at like 5, meet friends in the evening, and then go to work, which is like so bizarre because if you had a day job, you would never ever like socialize before work.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Okay.
How, now, recalibrating on the weekends. Because now you're...
Great question.
Right? It's a regular...
I don't sleep till 10 like I'm in college or something. I can't do that. I mean, I have to be really tired to do that.
But your body's on this crazy schedule Monday through Friday, so then when Saturday comes, like, you're going to sleep when on Friday night and waking up at when on Saturday morning?
I mean, generally, it's 11 to midnight. I might stay up an hour later if my eyes aren't completely droopy from just having a long week. And then 8 o'clock, 8:30 would be when I naturally wake up.
Does your brain wake you up at 4 a.m.?
No.
Wow, so you can do 8 hours.
Yeah.
When given the opportunity.
No, not a problem.
Got it.
Not a problem. Actually, my toughest day is Sunday into Monday.
Yeah, sure.
Because now I've slept a normal Saturday night.
Yeah,
I'm not really that tired when I'm forcing myself to climb into bed on Sunday night, and now there's not that reserve of sleep from the afternoon nap.
I would think being a morning news anchor, you have a built-in excuse, though, to get out of doing things you don't want to do, because you're like, I got to wake up at 3 in the morning. Like, even if it's not true, if there's something happening, or you need to leave somewhere with your wife.
That's where it's fantastic.
Yeah, I got to go.
You're at a super boring event that you don't want to be at.
Just look at your watch.
It's like, man, I wish I could stay.
I got to be up in a few hours.
Well, the flip side of that is you're at a really great event, and you feel like you have to leave. And
No, and I used to be able to burn the candle at both ends a little more than I can. The older you get, the harder that gets.
Sure.
And then you start to really program your day. And that's every day when you get busy, is that you've carved out, okay, I've got these 60 minutes for you guys, and then I'm going to get home and sleep for 2 hours, and then my daughter has her tennis lesson that I'm going to drive her to this afternoon, and you get really wound up when something throws that off. Like on this trip to Toronto this week, I went down to the front desk at the hotel at 9 a.m. and said, I got to tape my Bloomberg show at noon. I'll be back in the hotel at 1. The speech I'm doing is at 3. How late can I keep the room? And they said, well, for $29, we'll extend your checkout till 2. Great.
Done.
Yeah.
Great. So
best $29 you ever spent.
But then I raced back up to the room at 1:45, and they've already disconnected my key card.
Oh, no.
And they said, we'll send somebody from security, and the security gets there. And I was trying not to be mad at them, but I said, the 10 minutes it took you to get up here was 10 minutes I didn't have today.
That was
the whole reason I went down to the front desk was because I needed this. This was the toughest part of my day.
Yeah. Wait, I have one more question, and then we should get to the blog. What do you avoid obligations during nap time? Like if you have if someone asks you to do something at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, absolutely protected space.
Yeah.
Now I can flex nap time a little bit.
Right.
But the nap time is non-negotiable.
Okay, good.
You gotta have it. I have one question that I have to ask before we get to the bluff, and it's just me. You're from Calgary, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, people in Canada, big hockey fans, but Calgary, hotbed, professional wrestling. Were you or are you at all a wrestling fan? In Calgary, the Hart family is legendary.
My uncle, my mom's brother, Chuck, went to school with the Hart brothers.
See, this is what I want to know.
And
Andrew's a big wrestler.
And I wish I could remember which one it was.
There's 12 of them, so
one of the Hart brothers was a substitute teacher who from time to time visited my junior high school.
That's so cool. But did you watch it? It wasn't.
In the meantime and in between time, this is Stampede Wrestling. Yeah, of course we did.
My God.
Ed Whalen, the announcer on Stampede
Legendary.
Wrestling.
Wow. Stu Hart.
I had no idea that Calgary is such a big wrestling. I mean, I'm not
hotbed because the Hart family, Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Stu Hart is the father, and all the other brothers were wrestlers. And they all married wrestlers, and
wow.
It's just
an impressive level of Hart family knowledge for a Philadelphia.
This guy, used to work for
huge
WWE
wrestling fan. But it's just cool to hear you say the sign off or the sign on for awesome. Calgary Stampede Wrestling.
I'm gonna say it. I never say this. I'm glad you brought up wrestling.
No, the wrestling people who are listening, the wrestling people who listen to this because it's me will really appreciate that.
Yeah. Let's get to the blow off. Is there a time recently? I mean, God, we sort of already covered it almost. But is there a time recently where you used your schedule or you used being busy as an excuse to get out of something that you can remember?
Where I do that, I'm not going to name specific events.
No, we don't have to.
Because then I'll never get invited to anything else. But there's probably something I could go to every night of the week. Mm-hmm. So in addition to just being protective of that time for my family and my own sleep or whatever, it's a great excuse.
Yeah.
If somebody invites you to something on a Monday night because they're opening a new bar in Park Slope and they think that you should be there, in theory, I'm sort of interested in that. But once you start to prioritize, I don't have to get into a lot of specifics about why I can't get there.
People are like, we get it. We know.
No, your event's at 8 p.m. I'm on TV at 4 a.m.
Now I feel bad that we let the cat out of the bag that you don't actually go to bed at 7 p.m., that you technically are awake during that time.
Oh, we blew your cover.
We blew your cover. Yeah.
Family logistics, we get it.
No, sure, absolutely.
That's probably that's the closest I get to a blow off there.
Yeah, there.
We have a little. I just want to ask about doing stuff outside of the news. Mm-hmm. Are we going to see more of that, hopefully, possibly, at some point?
I grew up while my parents, not my dad wasn't a game show. My mom loved game shows. Both of her parents loved game shows. So when I first got the call to do World Series of Pop Culture and the other game shows I've done, it was a thrill to be able to do that.
That's so cool.
I mean, I've said publicly before that if they want to hand me Alex Trebek's job.
Yeah.
When a Canadian.
There's a symmetry to it, right?
There you go, yeah.
There's a deadpan kind of delivery.
I've got a great gig, and I've been there for 19 years, and it keeps going. But when you look at what you could do that would allow you to flex a different muscle, that's
what I was getting at. That's got to be fun.
Yeah, we did a show for the Game Show Network called Grand Slam, probably 7 years ago now.
Yeah.
Hardest thing I've ever done as a broadcaster. It was this rapid fire. Every round was a speed round.
Wow.
And it's fun to just challenge yourself and try to read 2 minutes worth of questions in a minute and a half.
I mean, I have to say, just, my dream, I mean, I love being a comedy writer, like, it's the but, like, working on game shows is so much fun. Like, it's one of the most fun experiences. Like, it's just a great, exciting, especially when you get on a good one where you're actually excited when somebody wins, like, you're into it, like, that's
and your fun. Question, like, really.
Yeah.
Well, also just generally what all of us are doing here. Like, we're making a living off learning about things, talking to each other. We're very also blessed in being able to do that.
It's just such a national pastime. I mean, we've all grown up with whatever game shows that you watch. Like everybody watched. It's not a generalization to say that everybody has seen a game show. Like they get it. So to be a host of one has to be pretty cool.
It's sort of been fun that ABC's revitalized a match game. And
they're like becoming events now.
Yeah. Well, it's just a sign that there's still an appetite for that.
100%.
That's awesome. Pat, is there anything else besides, I mean, obviously people can see you on New York One every morning, but is there anything else you want to mention?
Yeah. Are you on Twitter? How do we find Pat Kiernan?
I'm easy to find. I'm at Pat Kiernan on Twitter.
Yeah.
At Pat Kiernan on Instagram, though I'm not as faithful to my Instagram updates as my Twitter updates. I still keep up a little bit with my website. That's not as much of an effort as it used to be, but patspapers.com is I love it. My website. It's all there.
Great. Thank you so much. This has been awesome. It's been really fun and interesting, and I can't wait for people to hear it.
You lived up to our expectations of having a very busy person on. Sorry, I've been so
You're
busy.
just excited that he had...
Every time Matt emailed, I'm like, this is going to sound so ridiculous, but it's really hard for me to find a time this week.
You're not the first. Trust us.
You dropped Dead Whalen, so I'm excited.
I know. He's
like the Harry Callis of Calgary wrestling. Anyway,
awesome.
Thank you, Pat Kiernan.
Thank you so much, Pat Kiernan.
Stay busy, everybody.
Stay busy.
I was thinking out tripping. When they call, I ain't answering. They only get my voicemail 'cause I'm busy. Whenever I get with her, say I'm busy. I'm gonna hit you later 'cause I'm busy. Busy with her.